Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana, coming up in the next 30 minutes. European leaders to convene for emergency Ukraine summit in Paris. US weighs Putin's moves, says Ukraine, Europe will be part of real peace talks. West Asia is a hub of hectic parleys ahead of key peace talks. Zelenskyy reaches UAE. US Middle East envoy and NSA wall set to depart for Saudi Arabia. Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu signals moving ahead with Trump's idea to transfer Palestinians from Gaza. National capital wakes up to strong tremor. 4.0 magnitude of earthquake strikes New Delhi and adjoining areas. And in BAFTA Awards, Conclave scores Best Film as The Brutalist ties with 4 wins and Mikey Madison surprises in leading actress. And on to the details this hour. French President Emmanuel Macron will host European leaders, including Britain's Prime Minister, on Monday for an emergency summit on the Ukraine conflict. The French presidency said on Sunday Macron had called for the consultation talks and that they would address the tumultuous change in the US approach to Ukraine and the attendant risks to the security of the European continent. Others at the summit meeting will be German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, NATO Secretary-General Mark Rutte, Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni and Ursula von der Leyen, and Antonio Costa from the European Union. Meanwhile, Macron held a phone call on Sunday with Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, in which Macron discussed Saudi Arabia's role in any peace deal for Ukraine and how Europe should play a key part in this. While in Saudi Arabia, US officials prepare for talks with Russia, most likely to take place on Tuesday in the capital, US Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and National Security Advisor Mike Waltz are traveling to Riyadh. The two leaders said they will be having meetings at the direction of President Trump and hope to make some really good progress. Also, US Secretary of State Marco Rubio has signaled that the talks were a chance to see how serious Putin is about peace. Meanwhile, US has now clarified that Ukraine and Europe would be part of any real negotiations to end Moscow's conflict. The planned talks in Saudi Arabia coincide with the US bid to cut a deal with Kyiv to open up Ukraine's natural resources wealth to US investment. Ukrainian officials had met several US officials in recent days at the conference, while Trump had talked with Zelenskyy last week. Whereas in Abu Dhabi, Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy and his wife Olena arrived on Sunday. Sources say UAE officials had proposed to host a peace summit, which could eventually include a meeting between Putin and Zelenskyy. Sources further said that the UAE had emerged as a top candidate for the first meeting between Trump and Putin. However, as of now, Zelenskyy says his official visit would give priority to his wife's humanitarian program, investments and economic partnership. Meanwhile, Trump said on Sunday he believes he could meet very soon with Russian counterpart to discuss ending the conflict in Ukraine. Speaking to reporters, Trump said he was working hard to achieve peace and said he believes both Putin and Zelenskyy wants to stop fighting.
I think he wants to stop. That was my question to him, because if he's going to go on, that would have been a big problem for us. And that would have caused me a big problem, because you just can't let that happen. I think he wants to end it, and they want to end it fast. Both of them. And Zelenskyy wants to end it too.
Well, from being a symbol of transatlantic unity to now reflecting European unease, the Munich Security Conference has come a long way. This year's conference has revealed deep divisions between the US and its Western allies on NATO's promise of collective security. With the shifting US role, NATO faces tough challenges in maintaining its strength and unity. DD India's Mihir Maikuri reports for more.
For decades, the Munich Security Conference has been a symbol of transatlantic unity. But Trump's takeover of the US has turned the moot into a stage for European unease. From lecturing Europe on bolstering its own defenses,
but we think it's an important part of being in a shared alliance together that the Europeans step up while America focuses on areas of the world that are in great danger,
to raising questions on Europe's loss of democratic values. The message is clear. NATO, founded during the Cold War to defend shared Western values, loses its moral purpose if those values are no longer upheld. This has irked many.
I strongly oppose the impression that Vice President Vance has created that minorities are being suppressed or silenced in our democracy. We know not only against whom we are defending our country, but also for what? For democracy, for freedom of expression, for the rule of law, and for the dignity of every individual.
Trump's call for NATO members to take their security into their own hands has left alliance members scrambling to figure out a response. Amidst this, Zelenskyy has called for the creation of a European army to strengthen the continent's defenses.
Many leaders have talked about Europe that needs its own military, an army of Europe. And I really believe that time has come. The armed forces of Europe must be created.
Zelenskyy's suggestion hit a roadblock when the Polish foreign minister, in a televised interview, stated that the European countries would not create a unified army in response to threats from Russia. Taking a middle path, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said that the United Kingdom would work to ensure the US and Europe remain united and should not allow divisions to distract them from external enemies. But what is NATO and what does it stand for? Formed in 1949 with the signing of the Washington Treaty, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or the NATO, is a security alliance of countries from North America and Europe. It now has 32 member countries. NATO's fundamental goal is to safeguard the allies' freedom and security through political and military means. At the core of this alliance is Article 5 of the Washington Treaty, that an attack against one ally is an attack against all, a promise of collective defense. Plus, Article 4 of the treaty ensures consultations among allies on security matters of common interest. With the United States now uncertain about the scale of its involvement in NATO, European countries face an uphill task in boosting their defense spending. Mihir Maikuri, reporting for DD India.
Well, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu signaled that he was moving ahead with US President Donald Trump's proposal to transfer the Palestinian population out of Gaza. Netanyahu said after meeting US Secretary of State Marco Rubio in Jerusalem that Israel and the United States are determined to thwart Iran's nuclear ambitions and its influence in the Middle East. Netanyahu discussed the plan with Rubio, who kicked off a Middle East visit by endorsing Israel's conflict aims in Gaza, saying Hamas must be eradicated. Speaking at an event in Jerusalem, Netanyahu also said that Gazans should be given the chance to leave the enclave if they wanted to, and that US President Donald Trump's plan for Gaza was right on the dot.
Why not give Gazans a choice? Everybody said this is the largest open-air prison in the world. Not because of us. We let people leave. In fact, if you want to know, over the last couple of years, 2 years, I think, 150,000 Gazans left. You know how they left? Because they bribed their way out, not to us. They bribed their way out. We will not allow Syria to be used again as a staging ground for attacks against Israel. Now, all this has been done to date, but of course there remains a principal problem, and that problem is the source of all these attacks against us, all this aggression against us, and that source is one country. It's Iran.
Well, the talks between Netanyahu and Rubio come after U.S. President Donald Trump proposed a U.S. takeover Gaza and removal of the 2 million Palestinians there to neighboring countries. Well, Trump repeated on Sunday his support for Israel's next actions in Gaza. Trump said he told Israeli Prime Minister to do whatever you want as hostage releases between Hamas and Israel were negotiated. Trump has said that he wants the U.S. to take ownership of Gaza and rebuild it into the Riviera of the Middle East.
Told Bibi, you do whatever you want because, you know, my statement was they got to come back. Now, the reason I made that statement because they said they weren't going to deliver, they were not going to deliver the people that they said they were going to deliver, that they agreed to deliver. And they did agree to do that, but they broke that agreement. When I made the statement, they delivered everybody plus an American. Now, the good news is they look like they're in pretty good shape because the people from the week before didn't look like they were in good shape.
Well, Israel's Security Cabinet was set to discuss on Monday the next phase of the ceasefire in Gaza after top U.S. diplomat Marco Rubio and Israeli leader Benjamin Netanyahu presented a united front on their approach to Hamas and Iran. The comments came a day after Hamas freed 3 Israeli hostages in exchange for 369 Palestinian prisoners. The 6th such swap under the ceasefire deal, which the United States helped mediate along with Qatar and Egypt. Israel and Hamas have traded accusations of ceasefire violations, and adding to strain on the deal is Trump's widely condemned proposal to take control of Rubble-strewn Gaza and relocate its more than 2 million residents. Well, the humanitarian situation in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, continues to deteriorate as M23 rebels entered the center of another key city in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo on Sunday. Scores of people have fled from outlying districts of Bukavu, capital of South Kivu province. It was barely defended by the Congolese armed forces. On Friday, Rwanda-allied M23 rebels seized Kawamu Airport. The fall of the city of 1 million people gives the M23 total control of Lake Kivu, following its capture of Goma, capital of neighboring North Kivu province, at the end of January. As Congo is the world's top cobalt producer and a major copper supplier, it faces renewed concern about the impact of the conflict on crucial mineral exports. The involvement of troops from neighboring countries have stoked fears of a broader regional war rooted in tensions over power, identity and resources dating back to the 1990s Rwandan genocide. Well, the African Union highlighted growing fears that the strife-torn country could break up. The African Union has reiterated the need for caution and the need for M23 and its supporters to disarm and withdraw from occupied territories.
This new escalation should not become an open conflict that will disrupt and impact on humanitarian activities and the already very weakened social fabric in the region. The only way to solve the problem in Eastern DRC is for all parties to sit around the table.
Well, the UK government announced a multi-billion-pound plan to protect Britain's steel industry as it faces looming US trade tariffs. Prime Minister Keir Starmer's Labour administration said it was stumping up to $3.2 billion to help support the sector. It also launched a consultation looking at how to protect the steel sector from unfair trading practices abroad and reduce high electricity costs. The announcement came days after US President Donald Trump said he would impose 25% tariffs on steel and aluminium imports from March 12th. Canada, Mexico and Brazil are among the biggest steel exporters to the United States, followed by South Korea. Well, a powerful storm swept through the eastern United States, causing devastating flash floods. At least 9 people have died in the eastern United States, including 8 in Kentucky, as powerful storms brought flooding and exceptionally powerful winds, downing trees and cutting power. State of emergency declared in the region. Well, flood warnings will remain in place on Sunday morning. The region is expected to see strong wind gusts as well as snowy conditions towards the afternoon. Brutally cold weather is expected to hit much of the country later in the week. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. Asian markets quiet as Wall Street holiday dampens activity. Dollar struggles after weak US retail sales spark rate cuts. In sports, Brazil's João Fonseca becomes the youngest player to win Argentina Open.
Prasar Bharati, in collaboration with IIT Delhi and Software Technology Parks of India, is organizing the DD Robocon 2025 this year as well. In this National Robotic Championship, engineering students will get ample opportunities to showcase their ingenuity and potential. The national selection for this championship will be held on the 12th and 13th of July, and the winning team will get an opportunity to participate in the International ABU Robocon Championship to be held in Mongolia in August this year. So, hurry up! The last date of registration is the 16th of February. For more information, log on to www.ddrobocon.iitd.ac.in.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lapakshi Khurana, and moving on. National capital woke up to tremors today. An earthquake measuring 4.0 on the Richter scale hit Delhi NCR around 5:35 a.m. IST at a depth of 5 kilometers. Well, the epicenter was reported to be near Delhi. The tremors, which lasted for a few seconds, were strong enough to be felt in residential areas, causing panic among the residents. Many people rushed out of their homes as a precaution. There have been no immediate reports of damage or casualties. Delhi NCR falls in seismic zone 4, making it prone to moderate to strong earthquakes. And Prime Minister Narendra Modi has urged people in Delhi and nearby areas to remain cautious. Posting on X, he wrote, and I quote, "Tremors were felt in Delhi and nearby areas, urging everyone to stay calm and follow safety precautions, staying alert for possible aftershocks. Authorities are keeping a close watch on the situation," unquote. And for more on the earthquake, we have Tapas Bhattacharya joining us from New Delhi. Well, Tapas, the tremors came with a lot of sound. Tell us more as to where was the epicenter? Any news as of now?
Rubakshi, good morning. And yes, the epicenter was in the New Delhi area of Delhi. It's one of the 7 districts of Delhi region. In fact, you could say that that's the heart of the national capital territory. And it's the depth at which this particular earthquake was measured at was about 5 kilometers below the surface area. And that's one of the main reasons why the impact was felt a little more than it was generally at this when the depth is not that much, and if the earthquake is around 4.5, you do feel the impact in a more widespread area. And that's one of the reasons why the NCR and far-flung areas of NCR one did felt the tremor impact. But so far I could tell you the epicenter was in New Delhi area. B, it's a 4.0 magnitude of earthquake that hits the Delhi. C, very importantly, this is one of the very few instances when the epicenter was in Delhi. Rest, whenever we have spoken earlier, we have spoken about the earthquake. The epicenter has been either from Afghanistan or somewhere near in the Nepal area. So one has to understand that the last time Delhi had a epicenter earthquake, it was way back in 2012 when, if I'm not wrong, it was near the magnitude was approximately around 5.0.
Yes.
5.2. But from then, from 2012 on until now, there was not a single earthquake which has a epicenter in the Delhi NCR area. So one has to wait and watch which particular fault line was impacted, which fault line was activated because of it. Remember, Delhi NCR comes under zone 4 of the seismology area,
Right.
which means that it's a high prone area, and there are two major fault line that passes through Delhi and NCR. Apart from that, there are 5 to 6 smaller fault line also that are there. So one has to wait and watch when the seismology department come up with their report, and we have to see which fault line was activated. But so far, one could easily say that it's a 4.0 magnitude of earthquake, and as I mentioned, it was the epicenter was in the heart of Delhi, in the New Delhi area.
All right, Tapas, also, could you provide us more details on the impact of the tremors in the residential area, especially where people came out all of a sudden, and were there any immediate safety measures?
Well, there are no immediate safety measures. Delhi has been, for the last decade or so, been working on an audit of how the buildings are prone to such kind of seismological activity. So that part is there. As I mentioned, because the epicenter was in the heart of Delhi, so the impact was felt a little more than it was. One felt, and I also woke up, and most of the residential, people in resident area woke up and they went out. So there was a bit of a panic and early in the morning, but they calmed down and it stayed. The whole impact stayed for approximately 8 to 10 seconds. So that kind of jolted the people, and that's one of the reasons why early in the morning there was a lot of rush. There was a lot of people were a little panicky, but things settled down. As I mentioned, Delhi has seen the impact of earthquake, but the kind of earthquake that we saw today early in the morning, it felt as if more than a 5-point-something Richter earthquake actually took place, but it wasn't the case.
All right, thank you so much, Tapas, for all those details about the earthquake. And now on to some business news. Asian share markets were becalmed by a Wall Street holiday on Monday, while the dollar nasced losses suffered after a weak U.S. retail sales report rekindled wagers for 2 rate cuts this year. A holiday in U.S. markets made for a quiet start, leaving S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq futures near flat. Wall Street was briefly fazed by the retail sales report on Friday, but the S&P 500 still ended the week up 1.5%, while the Nasdaq gained 2.6%. The yen rose on Monday in a boost from upbeat Japanese GDP data, while the Australian and New Zealand dollars held broadly steady ahead of policy decisions later in the week. Well, the dollar was on the back foot as traders assessed recent weaker than expected U.S. economic data, which have reignited bets for more Federal Reserve rate cuts this year. And on to some sports news now. Brazil's João Francisco defeated home favourite Francisco Cerundolo in straight sets in the Argentina Open final on Sunday, becoming the youngest player to win a title on the ATP Tour. The 18-year-old Brazilian won 6-4, 7-6 against world number 28 Cerundolo, who is in his 4th Argentine opponent at the ATP 250 event in Buenos Aires. World number 99 Fonseca twice unsuccessfully served for the match against 5th seed Cerundolo, but regrouped to claim victory in the tie-break in the frenzied atmosphere. He's the youngest South American and 10th youngest overall to win an ATP Tour title since 1990. And defending champion Kolkata Knight Riders will take on Royal Challengers Bangalore at the Eden Gardens in Kolkata in the first match of the 2025 season of the Indian Premier League on March 22nd. The full schedule for IPL 2025 was announced on Sunday. Qualifier 1 and Eliminator will be held in Hyderabad, while Kolkata will host Qualifier 2 and the final. Overall, 74 matches will be held across 13 venues in 65 days, including 12 double headers. Meanwhile, last year's runner-up Sunrisers Hyderabad will host Rajasthan Royals in its tournament opener on March 23rd. Later on the same day, Chennai Super Kings will be up against Mumbai Indians in Chennai. And the 78th British Academy Film Awards saw a surprise tie for top honours between Conclave and The Brutalist, with each film winning 4 awards. Well, The Conclave, directed by German-born Edward Berger, won the BAFTA for the best film with its tale of the intrigue and the horse trading behind the scenes during the election of a new pope. While Brady Corbett won the BAFTA Best Director for The Brutalist. American actor Adrian Brody won Best Actor BAFTA for his portrayal of a Holocaust survivor in The Brutalist, and Mikey Madison won Best Actress for her role in Anora. Other notable winners included Zoe Saldana for Best Supporting Actress and Kieran Culkin for Best Supporting Actor for his work in A Real Pain. Conclave also won awards for Outstanding British Film, Editing and Best Adapted Screenplay, while The Brutalist won for Cinematography and Original Score.
Mikey Madison.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. Well, we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Kurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.